It's not dusty. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my album review of King Crimson's debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, released in 1969. What's there to say about this album that really hasn't been said already? King Crimson's debut album remains and will probably always be a pillar in the progressive rock movement, but I would even go as far as saying, if they're influences of jazz, classical, and even blues, I mean, it really stands out in a lot of different genres. Just as the man on the cover seems so surprised and perhaps kind of scared at the toll that the music is taking on his mind, I feel like in 1969 as well as in 2021, we probably feel the same way. I know I definitely feel the same way when I first listened to this album. I felt like my mind, like the guy on the cover, my mind was being opened up and expanded into new sounds that I didn't know could be made. It's a really nice foretelling and foreshadowing of the 70s progressive rock movement and just how far that seed would grow into the branches of music as we know it today. And each member in the band really has a fundamental piece and value in creating the sound that King Crimson has. From Giles' spirited and energetic drumming, especially on the fills, to Fripp's eclectic and technical and tactical guitar work, Ian MacDonald's breezy, calm, and yet sometimes fiery saxophone and wind instrumentation going on, as well as Lake's heartfelt and passionate vocals. These are just the right ingredients to come together at the right time to form a really solid album. The album opens with 21st Century Schizoid Man, which I'm sure that most of you are probably familiar with. It's probably one of the most well-known songs from King Crimson's catalog, and there's good reason for it. It opens the album with intensity. And as soon as you hear those sax riffs, the guitar riffs, the instrumentation going on, you're captured. I feel like you are immediately drawn into this band, 1969. This is their first step, and it's a huge step. I love the filtered vocal lines from Greg, delivered with a lot of passion and carried with a lot of force. Giles' drum fills, which I mentioned at the outset, but specifically his fills, catapult the chorus and the verses and the music into new directions and new momentous forces. The song has a really distinct big band jazz kind of style, while at the same time taking you through some rock dimensions as well. The transition into the instrumental piece feels like giant steps, and I don't mean like Coltrane's giant steps. I mean it just feels like a giant stomping across the land as it's big, it's slowed down, it begins to speed up, and eventually it shakes the earth beneath its feet with some beautiful, fantastic drumming and guitar work. It's just blazing. The trade-offs between Fripp and MacDonald are stunningly brilliant. Lake's underrated bass playing and Giles' prestigious drumming and percussion work really fill out this song so well, and the moments as they rise and fall are carried with a lot of weight. And I would say that this song is probably the most fun out of all the songs on the album. But after the 21st Century Schizoid Man has passed, we move on into something a lot calmer. And I've said it before in my first listen of the song, but with I Talk to the Wind, this being the second track on their debut album, they are showing you so many different facets of what King Crimson is, were, and would be. It's a huge contrast from the previous track. Gone are the fiery guitars and the saxophones that are just burning, and now we're laid down to a more dream-like state, traded for soft and moody breezes of melody. And even throughout its calm and collected manner, is still thoroughly engaging. And once again, I really love Giles' drum work here. It's sparse, it's quiet, but it's still detailed and it's very fluid. And the subtleties of King Crimson's music also shine through here, noteworthy most with the flute being played by MacDonald, and then of course Fripp's very relaxed and carefree guitar lines. This is just relaxation. But things are not quiet for too long as we move into the meat of the album, my favorite song on the album, Epitaph. Drums, guitar, mellotron, rile us from our daydream in Talk to the Wind, and this is one of Greg's finest vocal performances on the album, if not his finest and my favorite. I love his bittersweet singing in the chorus, his mournful tone in the verse, and did I mention the mellotron? I don't know if I mentioned the Mellotron. Fripp's calculated guitar playing sets the mood alongside with McDonald, and once again, those really nice drum fills by Giles. The dramatic rises in the song are really chilling. I love the moments where the volume rises and you can feel tensions begin to build musically, especially after Greg cries out, "The fate of all mankind I see is in the hand of fools." It's in that moment where the music really starts to break loose and change. Climaxes and crescendos of a prophetic nature reign in these moments, and once again, Greg cries out with all of his heart and shows a very nice range of emotion. And then we get to the underdog of the album, which is Moonchild. And listen, I love rooting for the underdog, okay? I love it. It starts off in a somewhat similar tone to I Talk with the Wind, but with an air of mystery, which is wonderfully provided by the Mellotron once again, and it has a light yet distinctive percussion going on. And for a few minutes, the song is rather conventional, it's rather once again dreamy, before it changes into something a lot more abstract. It breaks down into a free-form section filled with improvisations from the band. Mellow and restrained guitar fills out the room with very, very laid-back and airy playing. A lot of space is left in this song. And on first listen, I really didn't like it. And on subsequent listens, I thought I wasn't going to like it at all. So my first album listen in writing the review, I was like ready to skip Moonchild at that point. Upon a few more listens, I warmed up to it. I still don't love it, and I do still feel it goes on just a little bit too long, but I don't think that it's totally bad. Sure, it meanders a little bit and it kind of wanders aimlessly in its direction, but I do have to appreciate that instead of kind of jamming out like a regular band may want to do when it comes to improvisations, I do appreciate that they actually came up with a lot more space and dreamy kind of sections in their ambient and minimalism. You can even hear some clever communication going on between the instruments, between each of the members as they call back and forth. And like I said, I still do feel like it drags just a little bit. I still do feel like it kind of stops the fluidity of the album, but I don't hate it as much as I used to. I do think it ends quite nicely, especially as it leads into the last and final track. After dwelling in the cosmic abstract of Moonchild, we once again come into this epic of a track, epic of a journey, to wrap it all up, this mountain of a song in the court of the Crimson King, probably their second most well-known song. The harmonies in the chorus are explosive and catchy, and I feel like if you were watching them live, you would be just singing out so loud. After the show, your throat would be sore. After singing those harmonies, the chorus is just insanely catchy. The instrumental changes and the layering in the song and in the verses are really nicely performed, nicely detailed. Once again, we have some just monstrous fills by Giles. Greg's entrance into the chorus is really nice as well. And I have to mention again the dynamics in the music, the changes, the rises and the falls really play a nice role in keeping this song fresh. And I really like how every single time the verse returns, something is added, something changes, something hits a little bit differently at every occurrence and every turn. Almost as if they're resetting the stage for a new play and a new scene. And then I like that little bit of a false ending that goes on, maybe about 3/4 of the way through, before the band brings it all back in for one last crescendo. So that's just a very small wrap up on each of the songs on the album. A really fantastic album. Do I think it's perfect? I think it's pretty much as close as you can get to perfect. Moonchild drags it just a little bit, but the strength of the other songs still keeps it and elevates it to, deserving to be in the upper echelon. Echelon of music history. But now let's talk about my favorite lyrics, my favorite moment, and my song rankings for the album. My favorite lyrics on the album are from Epitaph. I mentioned this in the first listen video for this song, but I'm going to use the same exact verse that I mentioned there. I'm going to use the same exact words I said there. I just feel like these are some telling lyrics that just cut straight through. Knowledge is a deadly friend if no one sets the rules. The fate of all mankind I see is in the hands of fools. I didn't even really go into it on the first listen video. I'm not going to go into it now. I just feel like those lyrics, they speak for themselves, guys. I mean, can you see? Is the light too bright? I mean, I don't know. My favorite moment on the album is the chorus of Epitaph. I don't know if you guys knew, but I kind of like Epitaph. Confusion will be my epitaph as I crawl a cracked and broken path. If we make it, we can all sit back and laugh. Listen, it goes on, but just the way that that chorus is delivered and just the way that the instrumentals go on during it. Sorry, there's someone just beeped outside. It's just so engaging. It's so impassioned. I cannot help but feel something listening to the chorus of Epitaph. And then ending with my song rankings for the album, Epitaph, number 1. Court of the Crimson King, I Talk to the Wind, 21st Century Schizoid Man, ending with Moonchild. Like I said, I don't think Moonchild is as weak a track as, I've heard other people say, but I don't love the whole runtime of that abstract section. King Crimson's debut is an album that has been hyped, it's been mentioned historically, well reviewed, critically reviewed. It lives up to its title. It lives up to the accolades that it's been given, and I think that a lot of people, myself included, would really enjoy this album. And this is actually a really nice step into progressive music, I would feel. If you were trying to get someone into it, I think this would be the right step in the right direction. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. You can go back and listen to my song reviews of each of the songs here on the album. You can also join me in the comments down below and on Twitter. You can support the channel on Patreon, but you don't have to. I hope that you just enjoyed the video. Have an awesome day, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.